Hello guys, welcome to a new video. In this video we're gonna review Sony A58 SLT camera guys. So guys, this is the camera and this is not a DSLR and this is not a mirrorless camera. It is a SLT camera. So before I explain you everything and before we go in depth about the review of this awesome little great camera, I would request you to subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you always get notified whenever I post a new video guys. So guys, this camera was launched in 2013. It is almost 9-year-old but it's still a great camera guys. It has a 20 megapixel sensor, so it is a really nice resolution. It is not very less and not very much either, and it is a SLT camera. So now I'm gonna explain you what SLT means. SLT means single lens translucent. So basically, if in case of a DSLR we have a mirror in front of that, so the full form of DSLR is digital single lens reflex. So the light comes and gets reflected from the mirror and then it goes to the focusing plate, the focusing happens, and also the light comes via the prism and we can see using the viewfinder. But in case of a SLT camera, it is a translucent mirror, so like around 70 or 80% of the light directly goes to the sensor, so the mirror doesn't have to flip out in case of taking a photo. In case of a DSLR, every time you take a photo, the mirror has to come out of the way and the sensor is exposed so that the light hits the sensor and the photo is clicked. But in this case, the mirror stays in the same position, so the light goes all the way through the mirror onto the sensor and the image is captured, and some of the light is reflected to the focusing plate and also to the viewfinder. And in case of this camera, it is a electronic viewfinder like we have on mirrorless camera. It's a 1.4 million dot viewfinder, which is not very high resolution, but it is still quite decent. At least using this viewfinder you are able to guess your exposure, whether your image is gonna be overexposed or whether it's gonna be underexposed. So it is good to have this. So when you are using this camera, you actually get a feeling that you are using a mirrorless camera, even though this is not a mirrorless camera, because this still have a mirror, so it cannot be a mirrorless. And in terms of feel and build quality, it looks like a DSLR. So what are the advantages of having this translucent mirror? So the advantage is that the focusing is much faster, because if you are using the live view, or if you are in the movie mode, if you are recording a video, then the mirror doesn't have to come out of the way, so you can still do the face detect autofocus. And this camera has 15 autofocus point, all of them are face detect, 3 are cross type, and the autofocus on this camera is superb guys. It works very fast, it does the focusing very smoothly, it doesn't hunt like crazy like we have on the Nikon or Canon cameras, which were launched in 2013 around the same time as this camera. So the focusing is really very fast, both in the video and also when you are taking photos guys. And it can also help in taking faster frame per second guys. So this camera can shoot 8 frame per second guys, so it is much faster like compared to many of the DSLR in the same price range. So it is better for sports photography. You can take more images every second, 8 frame per second. Very nice guys. If we talk about the ISO range on this camera, it is from 100 to 16,000, which you can expand to 25,000. So it is a very nice camera for low light photography. It takes really nice images even in the low light guys. If we talk about the weight of this camera, it's around 500 grams, so it's pretty light and the grip is really good. The ergonomics are really good. When you are holding this camera, you feel like you are holding on to someone and feels like a DSLR, and it's easy to use. If you have used any DSLR in the past, like the Sony DSLR, you would feel exactly the same kind of feeling. And this has a sensor shift image stabilization as well, which is really good, because this kind of sensor stabilization is present only in very high-end mirrorless camera. If you talk about the mirrorless camera, only the mirrorless camera in the range of $1,500 or more have these features. But this camera second hand you can get for $150 along with the kit lens, which is such a good bargain price for this camera, because it takes great images and great photos, and it also has the sensor stabilization, so it helps you in stabilizing all the lenses that you have. So even if you are using a 50 mm Sony A mount lens, then it will have the stabilization. But if you are using 50 mm Canon lens or Nikon lens for DSLR, they don't have any stabilization into them. And guys, the mount on this camera is a mount. So it is the same mount that is used by Minolta. So you can use all the Minolta lenses as well. And this also have the focus motor inside the body. So some of the Minolta lenses which did not have the autofocus motor inside the lens, so they would work as well with this camera. And all the Sony lenses and the Minolta lens you can use, and the Minolta lenses you can get really very cheaply second hand. So it's a great camera for using all those older lenses. But you cannot use the Sony E mount lenses, the mirrorless lenses, because E mount is a different mount altogether. This is a mount, Sony Alpha A mount, same mount that was used by Minolta. The video that you can record on this camera is full HD 60 frames per second, so you can get much sharper looking video from this camera, and you can slow down in the post for making slow motion video. And the tilting screen is really useful if you want to do some low angle shots or overhead shots. And this is not a touch screen, so every options that you have to change, you have to use the menus. And it is a 460 kilo dots screen, so it is quite a good resolution. You are able to see if your images are sharp or not on this camera. And this camera also have microphone input port, so you can connect a microphone. So the microphone port goes on this side. So it is very nice feature to have. So then you can get really nice professional audio by connecting a nice microphone to this camera, guys. And the dynamic range on this camera is a bit low, it's around 12.5, but still better than some of the Canon competitors in the same price range. So it is not a best camera if you want to take some landscape shots, but it does have the feature for HDR. You can do exposure bracketing on this camera, and then you can get nice HDR photos by taking multiple exposure and then combining them in the post. Beside all that, this camera also have a pop-on flash. So it is very useful if you want to take some photos in real darkness and you don't have any external flash to connect. So this is quite useful, and yeah, it's a nice flash. Yeah, the power of the flash is a bit low, but it works in most of the situation, guys. So now I'm gonna put onto the screen the photos that I've taken with this camera. I used the 18 to 55 mm kit lens that came with this camera, and the photos look really nice. They are very sharp. The photos were taken mostly in a good lighting situation. So when I took those photos, it was nice and sunny, and there were a lot of snow as well. And I was able to get really very beautiful shots using the kit lens. And since this camera has a sensor stabilization, so the kit lens doesn't have any stabilization built into that. So even despite that, it works really nice. And it is very easy to use, and you can see for yourself the colors look really nice. The dynamic range is not that great, but not that bad either. It is a very easy to use camera, and the sharpness is really good in the image. So I would give it like full marks when it comes to photography. It is a great camera if you want to take photography, very easy to use as well. Now I'm gonna put the footage of the video that I've taken with this camera, and the footage looks really awesome. The autofocus is very snappy and very easy to use. It doesn't hunt like Canon or Nikon does in video, and for $150, like what more can you ask for? So now you can see the footage. Hello guys, right now the audio that you're listening is directly from the A58 Sony camera, and you can see it is very sharp. I'm using the 18 to 55 mm kit lens, and you can see the details. It looks really sharp, and the focusing is very smooth compared to some of the other DSLR, because this one is a SLT, single lens translucent. So it has a translucent mirror, so it reflects some of the light into the viewfinder, and the rest of the things goes to the sensor. So at the same time, you don't have to flip the mirror if you want to record a video or you want to focus in the live view. And you can see the sharpness, it is really very sharp. Everything looks very detailed, and the focusing is very smooth. It doesn't hunt like crazy like some of the other Canon and the Nikon DSLR in the same price range. So it is a very good camera for making video, and it can shoot full HD 60 frame per second video. And it also have a microphone input jack, So it's a great camera for making video. I did not find any problem whatsoever when it comes to video making with this camera. And this camera also have a in-body stabilization IBIS inside it. So it's a great camera. No matter what lens you use, you will always get stabilization. So you saw the footage. It looked awesome, guys. And it also have a microphone input jack and great autofocus. It's a very good camera when it comes to video. Now I'm gonna show you a close-up of this camera so that you can see how it looks like. Guys, this is how the camera looks from the back. So this is not a touch screen, so you have to navigate using this button, but it can tilt up and down, so it's really good for taking some low angle shots or for video work as well. And this is the OLED 1.4 million dot electronic viewfinder, and this is the button for starting the recording if you want to record a video. And from the top it looks like this. So it's almost same as like most of the cameras are, almost similar like Nikon or any other Sony DSLR. It has all the options if you want to choose between shutter priority, aperture priority, or fully manual mode or the video mode. And here the shutter button and some other buttons for changing the different settings. And if you see this side, it is over here where you can connect the mic and also the HDMI and the USB port as well. It also have a direct DC power source, so if you want to connect this camera to a direct power so that you know it can keep on recording forever, so you have that as well, guys. And on this side you can connect the SD card. You can put the SD card over here, and as is the case with all the camera, so the battery compartment is down below. And it's a greatly built camera. It feels good in your hands, guys. So guys, now the final question: should you get this camera in 2022? I would say this would be the best buy if you are looking for a camera which can do your YouTube videos, which can also do photography as well. So this would be a great buy because you can get this camera for just $150 along with the kit lens. And guys, I forgot to tell you one really nice feature in this camera. It also has Wi-Fi as well, so you can pair this camera to a mobile app and then control this camera using your smartphone. So that is also one really good thing about this. And in terms of autofocus, the kind of autofocus that you get with this cheap camera, for getting the similar kind of autofocus in Nikon and Canon, you have to spend at least $300 or $400. In Canon you would have to go for some camera with this dual pixel autofocus, and in Nikon you have to move to the Nikon Z50 mirrorless camera. But in $150 you are getting the best experience of kind of like using a mirrorless camera and also the feel of DSLR, because this camera, when you are using it, it feels like a mirrorless camera even though it is not a mirrorless camera, and the build quality and the build and feeling is more like a DSLR. So you get the best of the both world with this camera and for such a good bargain price. So this would be a very good camera for some like new people who are not having any camera but they want to buy their first camera to get started into making videos for YouTube, or like starting the photography as well. So this would be better than buying a Nikon or a Canon camera for a beginner. And even if you are a professional, you can take professional looking videos with this camera as well. You can buy some nicer glass. Either you can go for, you know, Minolta lenses because they are very cheap, and you can get some really great Minolta lenses, and all of them would work with this camera. So all in all, in 2022 or even next year in 23, this would be a very good camera to buy. If you haven't bought this camera, check out on eBay. Maybe you can get a really good deal, or you can check out on Facebook Marketplace or any second-hand camera listing website. You can get this really cheap. But if you are like a full-time professional and you have all the money, maybe then you should go for the latest one. But if you are on budget, you need a camera which does good photography, very good video, good autofocus, it has microphone input. So this would be the best camera for you to get, guys. Alright guys, I hope you like my video. If you like my video, please press the like button, and if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you always get notified whenever I post a new video, guys. Alright guys, then I will see you in the next video.